Hi, this is Michelle Specht. I play Dr. Elise McKenna on Star Trek Continues. Oh my God, I'm totally fangirling right now because I just met Dan Davidson and Bill Smith of the Trek Geeks podcast. Oh my gosh, they are amazing.
Biggest little show this side of the Alpha Quadrant. This is your independent Star Trek podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to Trek Geeks. I am your co-host, Bill Smith, the same Bill Smith that forgot to introduce himself last week, so here I am. It's great to be with you all. Thank you so much for downloading. Thank you so much for spending an hour or so with us. And by us, I do mean me and my incredibly wonderful co-host. He is a prince among men. He is salt of the earth. He is an amazing human being. I, of course, am speaking of somebody who couldn't be here today, but for now, I'll introduce Dan Davidson. Dan, welcome aboard, buddy.
Wow. Hi.
Hey,
I was about to say, wow, you must want something really bad because that's a great introduction, and then you did what you usually do. So thanks. Great to be here, kind of, for all of our other listeners, anyway. So thank you. Hi.
I'm consistent.
You are consistent. That was a great introduction for yourself, by the way. I'm glad you remembered today.
I am Bill Smith, by the way.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Hi, Bill Smith, and you are?
Hi, I'm Dan Davidson.
Oh, I was supposed to be meeting someone else here.
I figured.
Dan, we're going to have some really great fun today in this episode. We get to talk to a couple of brand new friends of ours.
Oh my God, and it's already started right now with the banter between you and I. We've been looking forward to this for a while. Newer podcast on the circuit, so to speak, Two Guys, One Trek. Looking very much forward speaking to Josh and Ira. They are hilarious on their show, and I can only imagine what they're going to bring here today. We don't even have an outline of what we're going to talk about. We're just going to go at it, and I'm sure it's going to be quite interesting.
Without a doubt. They are two amazingly energetic guys, and they have a fantastic podcast that I actually started to listen to last year when they dropped episode 1 of their look at the original series, or I said season 1 of their look at the original series. And it's fun, it's different, and I think that's really part of the reason why I'm hooked on it. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. It's not what I expected when you told me about it, and I went. First of all, I love their artwork that they use for their podcast. That's one of the things that I like most. And then I started listening to it. I was like, wow, these guys, the energy level. I could only imagine the amount of Red Bull cans that are on their desk when they record, because it's pretty funny. So it should be an interesting conversation with the two gents.
I agree entirely. Dan, speaking of interesting, why don't we tell the folks at home how they can get in touch with us to share their thoughts, concerns, and appeals for me to have a different co-host?
Oh, I'm sorry. Everything's down. We can't do that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No, well, but I'll try a different way. On Twitter, Facebook, Skype, and Instagram, you can find us at Trek Geeks. You can also send us an email at podcast@trekgeeks.com, or give us a call at 508-784-1701 to leave a voicemail. You can also do the same thing at speakpipe.com/TrekGeeks. And as always, our official Facebook group, Camp Kittimer, is available for you to join. There's a lot of good discussion out there, as there always is. And you get early access to the episodes of the Trek Geeks podcast just for being a member. And it's free, so how can you lose? To join the group, just go to facebook.com/groups/Camp Kittimer. And one of our wonderful admins, Heather, Jackie, or Dan, will let you right in to join in on all the fun and frivolity. But please remember, any comments or messages you leave us may be used in a future episode. Bill?
Dan, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, buddy. Great job.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you.
I have my moments. None of them usually occur on this podcast, but, hey, every now and then.
every now and then, and we're happy. It's like not introducing yourself once every 103. That's okay.
It's time for the news from our good friends at TrekNews.net. What's up with the sad muted trumpet there?
I was trying a little something different there. Better? Oh.
Dan, it's time for the news from TrekNews.net. Online at TrekNews.net. And Dan, first up today, the documentary Remembering Leonard Nimoy looks like it's going to make its nationwide debut sometime soon.
Very, very cool. Yes, directors Julie Nimoy and David Knight announced that their film Remembering Leonard, his live legacy and battle with COPD, is going to air on PBS stations across the country this coming November. Now, there was a premiere of this last month, I believe, and I think it's great that it's going to be seen across the country. Yeah, that premiere was in just the PBS Boston area, so it'll be good that we'll be able to see this all across the country this coming November.
I was really bummed when I couldn't see the premiere. I was on my cruise, and I have been waiting since then to hear when it was going to happen nationwide. So I'm really glad that this is going to go, all throughout the PBS network. I think it's a great distribution channel for this kind of content, and I think there's a lot, hopefully a lot of good that will come of this, especially considering what kind of disease COPD is.
Yes, we all remember what happened when Leonard passed and how we all felt, and it'll be good to see this documentary and also get some good information about COPD. Looking forward to it this November. Don't have a specific date, but it's good that we now have a specific month.
Agreed, and we'll definitely keep people updated as it gets closer. Dan, there's another thing that is fast approaching, and that is Star Trek Las Vegas, and the hotel at which STLV occurs, the Rio All-Suites Hotel in Las Vegas, was in the news this week, and it's not particularly great news.
Yeah, no, it's not great news at all, and there's a lot of concern, and I think it's valid concern. There have been 2 cases of Legionnaire's disease that have been reported at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino in Vegas, and it's very recent, too. I believe it was only within the past month or so. So the hotel is investigating and taking steps to make sure that everyone is healthy and safe when they stay there. But it's got a lot of people concerned, especially Star Trek fans, because as everyone knows, many people have suffered from quote-unquote con crud after visiting in previous years. So, yeah, not something to smile about right now.
No, definitely not. I think the important distinction to draw here is that, at least in my opinion, I think there's a very vast difference between con crud and contracting Legionnaire's disease. So right off the top, Legionnaire's disease is a type of pneumonia, which of course is similar to con crud, but it's only contracted by inhaling aerosol droplets of water that have been contaminated with this particular Legionella bacteria. Mm-hmm. And this includes, it can happen in showers and in hot tubs, from faucets, misters, or sometimes decorative fountains. So this is not the kind of thing you're going to get just hanging around the casino, from the smoke-filled cloud that tends to enshroud the place, or from the air system in general, unless you happen to come in contact potentially with mist. We should also point out that the Rio is working on getting this resolved. It's only 2 cases out of the thousands of people that stay at the Rio at any given time. So I think it's important to draw that distinction up front.
Yes, absolutely. And my reference to con crud basically was just people have had what they're calling con crud in past conventions. And with this announcement, people are probably going to be concerned that if they start feeling under the weather, oh my God, do I have Legionnaire's disease? That's certainly not the case. But it'll be hopefully resolved and taken care of so that people won't have to worry about it in less than 60 days.
Yes, wow. It's coming up quick, man.
Quickly.
It seems like, we get to a point where it goes from taking forever to, oh my God, it's here already. And I can't wait. I'm sure that this won't be an issue by the time we get to the Rio. I'm just looking forward to having a great con.
It's going to be awesome. As always, can't wait to get out there.
Oh, you're going?
Sorry.
Oh. Dan, our Cosplay for Good campaign is just rolling along. We're 50% of the way there, man. We're halfway to the goal.
That's awesome. We still got quite a good amount of time to make that 100% of the 1,000 that we're looking for this Cosplay for Good campaign. You and I are going to have a good time out in Vegas dressing up, and we're doing it for a great cause. We want to make sure that everyone understands that this $1,000 we're raising is for the Nevada SPCA, the largest no-kill animal shelter in the Las Vegas area. We will never see any of that money. It's going to go straight to an amazing organization, and we are very thrilled to be doing this.
We are. Dan, this week we put out an update to the campaign, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because we haven't talked a lot about this. But that update this week was about your furry kids, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. We have 2 rescue dogs in our family. We actually had, at one point, 3 dogs. Fury was our yellow lab, and she was getting up there in age. So we had gotten Callie, about 8 years ago, rescued from an organization called Almost Home Rescue of Maine. She joined the family so that Fury would have a friend, and they bonded and had a great life together. And as Fury got up there in age, we felt it might be a good idea to introduce another pup so that Callie would have a friend after Fury passed on. So we got Aria about, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago or so. And she joined the family, and she bonded to Fury just as closely as Callie did. So that was a little bit of a backfire, but Callie and Aria have become inseparable, and they are both wonderful additions to the family. Great rescue. They rescued us. # they rescued us is what I like to say. So we're we love them very much, and they are a great part of the family. And rescue dogs are great. And this is why we're doing this in August, is for the pups.
It really is. I mean, I can't think of another reason why you and I would put on these ridiculous uniforms from TNG's first season, the dreaded scant uniform, also known to some people as the male miniskirt, but the TNG scants, we're going to don those and show our sexy legs off to help raise money for the adoptable animals in the greater Las Vegas area. And that's the only condition under which I could be excited about such a thing, Dan.
I'm excited to see your sexy legs. But
well,
there is
they're
one
quite
other,
breathtaking.
They are. They're very, especially now with all the hard work you put in, man.
That's true.
Yes, absolutely. But not only are we trying to raise $1,000, Bill, but I think we got a little something extra going on to raise even more money for the Nevada SPCA. We
do. So, in addition to the money we're trying to raise as part of the campaign, we are going to donate money for the first 100 selfies that people take with us at STLV. So we'll kick in $1 for the first 100 selfies, and our amazing friends at the G&T show have said they will match that $1. So as of right now, for the first 100 selfies, $2 will be donated to the Nevada SPCA for every selfie that's taken and tagged. So I'm overwhelmed. I'm excited. I can't wait to do this, and I can't wait to spread a little good while we're there for STLV.
So let me get this straight. So that's $1 from us, $1 from G&T, 1 + 1. Yeah, that's $2 per selfie, $200. That's pretty awesome.
You should show your math on that because I want to be sure it's right.
I think you got it, man. Very excited.
$2, and it's all going to a great cause. And as Dan said, this money's not going to touch our hands. It's not coming to us, and we're giving it to the shelter. It's going to go straight to where it's going to do the most good, and that's the Nevada SPCA. So if you haven't donated yet, you don't have to donate a large sum of money, $5, $10. It all helps. It's GoFundMe.com/TrekGeeks, and we certainly will be grateful for anything you could do to help us out. I have a long commute back and forth to work every day, and I'm constantly on the lookout for new things to listen to in the car while I'm driving from New Hampshire to Massachusetts. One day last year, I stumbled across a new Star Trek podcast called Two Guys, One Trek. It's an energetic and fast-moving show where the hosts, Ira Heinichen, the self-described Trek old-timer, watches TOS with his friend Josh McClenney, who apparently was raised in a f***ing cave because he's seen every Star Trek except that one. I mean, there could be a variety of reasons why he hasn't seen it. I mean, maybe he was trapped in Amish country as a child. Maybe he was on an expedition in the middle of the Serengeti. Perhaps he was working on improving the Dewey Decimal System. I don't know. I don't care. The point is, this podcast is their journey through Star Trek as friends, and it's a complete and total blast to experience it with them. They don't look anything up, and they don't write anything down, and it just works. It provides a fresh perspective on this 51-year-old series we've all loved for so long. Season 2 of Two Guys, One Trek was released on May 29th, and you can download all, I do say all, of the aforementioned second season right now wherever you find podcasts. It's our honor and pleasure to welcome Josh and Ira to Trek Geeks. And Josh, what the f***, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
First of all,
that was the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me, for number one. Amish country caves?
all of it was true.
This is all good stuff. Yeah, you know me like a book, man.
I listen. What can I say? Guys, we're really excited to have you here.
Oh my God, the pleasure genuinely is ours. Thank you guys so much for having us.
We're going to try to not devalue your podcast too much.
We'll try to not tank the ratings.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much.
So you can keep us on, and then just lower the volume as we're talking. You know,
just play us out.
Yeah,
with music.
exactly.
Just play us out.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been fun.
That was Josh and Ira.
Now back to Dan Davidson.
Hi guys, it's Dan. How you doing?
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
We're excited to have you here. I'm excited. Wow, you guys are like freaking like warp 20. It's awesome. I was actually listening to Arena today at my desk at work, trying not to belly laugh because it was very quiet in the office today.
That
you
was
guys
the
are
Exploding
fantastic.
Tricorders one.
Was that the Exploding
Tricorders?
Oh my god!
When Spock just throws the tricorder and blows up.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
I'm sorry. I try to bring logic whenever I see it. I go like, why did that tricorder explode? I didn't understand it. Ira had to explain. He goes like, that's just what they do, Josh.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the kind words, Dan. We really appreciate you having us on.
Absolutely.
You know, we love to help other podcasters and promote other podcasters. And I guess Ira, the first question I have is for you. Mm-hmm. Why a podcast?
Good question.
Why are we doing this, Ira?
It would have taken a lot longer to cut a video together, I guess. I don't know. I have done podcasts. This is the real reason. I have done podcasts. I think I launched my first podcast in 2009, and it was a music podcast. I used to be God, this sounds so lame, but it's true. I used to be a DJ.
He was good.
Oh, that's lame.
It's true.
Trust me, that it's so lame. And so I did like a weekly like music podcast with like interviews with the underground dance, scene,
like
scene. So that was the first podcast I ever did, and I'm also a really big baseball fan. And so I did an Oakland A's podcast for a little while. I was raised in NorCal, so the A's. I was born in '82, so I was six when the Dodgers beat them in the World Series. I was 7 when they won. The Canseco, McGuire, that era. Yep. So I grew up a huge A's fan. And so
you actually call that a different kind of era.
Yes, that would the juicing era, perhaps.
Maybe.
Allegedly. No, I think we pretty much confirmed that, didn't we? That happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I did that for a few years, and then you could take it away from there, Josh. You and I started playing the golf.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we started playing. You're talking about when we picked up for the podcast. Yeah, we were playing golf. We'd been writing and stuff like that before, and doing internet videos and stuff like that before.
Josh and I met in a sketch comedy group.
Yeah, and then we started...
That didn't pan out.
No, it did. No, it did not.
To say the least.
And none of those sketches will see the light of day. Partly because they just didn't finish them.
Ours saw the light of day. You can find ours.
Yeah, you can find our stuff. But we did sketch comedy, and we'd written other things, and we tried to pitch shows and stuff like that to networks and stuff. And then after a while, we were just kind of he went and started writing his novels, and then I went and I started writing my films, and then we were playing golf and talking Trek as we were playing golf.
Well, yeah, we basically we ran a production company together,
pretty much,
and we met each other basically every week for a period of like 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah,
and then all of a sudden we weren't meeting anymore.
Yeah,
so we started playing golf once a month
because we still wanted to hang out and
we're
chat.
like, this isn't enough.
Yeah, I gotta see you.
What are you talking about? Josh fix on.
Learned about life through you, man. So as we were playing golf, we would always talk about Trek, and I would always kind of update him on where I was, because I came in late, obviously, as we've already established, on Trek just in general. I was watching Star Trek. I started with The Next Generation, and I'd only been a fan.
And that was what, like
4 years?
2012?
Yeah, that was like 4 years ago at the most. And that's like really, I started watching Trek and became a fan slowly. Actually, it happened immediately, but as I was watching the episodes, I obviously became more of a fan. But we were playing golf and talking about Trek, and I think it was your idea. You brought it up to me. You said, "What about?" He said, "What about doing a podcast?" I'm not even sure I really knew what a podcast was. Again, slow child. So I was just like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, man."
Well, because I was naturally on him. You've got to watch the original series, man.
Yeah, and
you've got to watch it.
He kept
and let me know once you do, because so my original angle was I wanted to be there when Josh watched the movies.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how it was for you guys, but when I was a kid, it was TNG, but really what blew my mind when I was a kid was watching the Star Trek movies. Like I think I was like 4 or 5 when The Voyage Home first came out, and I must have watched that movie like 20 times. That was back in the day when you had to rent a VCR, because nobody had a VCR. And so we would go by.
There's one tape was circulating throughout the world.
It was Figuritos videos, exactly. And you would rent a VCR, and I had to good old Figuritos. And it came like in a suitcase.
Big black
like a big black protect. See, Dan knows what I'm talking about.
Dude, I worked in a video store for like 20 years.
There we go. See, man, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I had 2 movies that I loved. One was the animated Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah.
The Disney Robin Hood. And the other one was Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
That's right.
Which we cannot talk about with Josh because he doesn't know.
Is that the 5th movie you said?
That was the 4th one.
4th movie.
That was the 4th one.
Okay. All right.
As evidenced by Star Trek 4.
Oh, God.
Yeah, 4. Sorry, we were looking for 4.
He is
paying attention.
I see.
He is the slow one, isn't he?
So I mean, that actually, yeah. So I was, now that I think about it, I was exposed to the movies even before I was exposed to TNG. And so I just wanted, you were already like halfway through Voyager, I think, or something at that point when we kind of reconnected and started seeing each other on the regular. And I was like, well, dude, once you've, dang it, I'm so sorry, Bill.
That's okay. No, we're good.
I was like, dude, like when you get through the original series, you've got to promise me that we can watch those movies together.
Yeah.
And then it just wasn't happening fast enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
so I was like, bro,
well, yes.
Let's watch them together and we can record them.
Well, it's also the fact that I had not been watching the shows. I mean, I don't know how, I'm sure you guys have seen the shows with people, but I'd not been watching the shows with anyone at all. I've been watching them on my own just when I get in from work or done with the shoot or something. And it would be in between things, and I would be picking up and watching the shows and kind of going from Next Generation on all the way to Enterprise.
Which is really always how I had done it too.
Yeah.
I'd always watch them just on my own.
So I'd never really experienced it watching it with someone. So that was the big thing about the podcast, and that was the big thing that kind of like, got me going with the podcast. Going, oh, we're gonna do it together. You've seen it before, and I'd never seen it.
That is the hook of the show,
and
in
that's
a nutshell,
the dynamic,
right there.
And that's what sold.
That sounded like so much fun to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
obviously, when Josh and I get together, we just, I don't know, like there's
just riff and banter and
like
all kind of.
We just explode.
We can't focus.
Light things on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't hold a train of
Small
thought.
dogs just yelping in the corner.
Those podcast episodes are heavily edited.
Exactly. Oh my
heavily edited.
30-hour podcasts each.
That's why it took me so long.
Exactly. We were just like, oh, we have to press stop.
Now I understand.
Wow.
But that, I mean, like the thought of sitting down with Josh, number one, but number two, like with someone who's never seen this show before, I like that just sounded like so much fun.
Yeah.
That was my hook to the podcast.
Yeah, it's the thing that
that's why I wanted to do it.
The original series I knew of it and I knew of the characters, but it's just one of those things that just got by me. You know, it's just one of those things that I wasn't into at a young age.
Right.
And I just didn't look up until later on. And when I did, I said, oh, I hadn't started with the original series. So I started with, Picard, and then I went on.
You started basically the same way I did.
Yeah, pretty much.
With the exception of the movies.
So that was another thing that really was a big, thing for me of going like, wow, I really want to see these people. I want to see these icons that created this Star Trek that's carried on for 50 years, So
it's really funny listening to you guys tell a story of how you started, because it's kind of similar to what Bill and I did when we first started the podcast. As our listeners know, he kind of came to me and said,
cute.
the only difference between our podcast and your podcast is it sounds like you guys actually like each other. Right, Bill?
Hey, man, there's got to be drama in the podcast somehow, right?
Always has to be drama somewhere.
Well, and that they actually watch Star Trek together, because Dan, we've never watched Star Trek together.
Never. We've never watched an episode sitting next to each other, holding hands, with popcorn or anything. Never happened.
Our thing is pizza.
Draped over each other. Yeah, it's pizza, beer, and whiskey.
Pizza, beer, and whiskey. Yeah, that's how we watch.
I got a question for you guys, and I'm not sure who wants to answer it first. So, why and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's actually kind of cool. Why the drop of a whole season like Netflix or something? Why not week to week? Is it just something that you think is easier for you guys with scheduling, or you just want to like suck up the podcast universe all at once? I'm kind of curious.
Do you want to take it?
Yeah. So I mean, like what I have learned about podcasting, even before doing this, was if you want ratings and listeners and all that, sustaining once a week for forever is the way you do it. However, this podcast, I don't know, it just felt so like there was such a specific goal in mind with this podcast, which is we're going to watch the original series. Nice. And we were going to sit down and watch it together and invite people to, if they wanted to, watch the show with us. Yeah. And the way people consume Star Trek these days is not once a week.
No, it's true.
It's on the fly whenever they want. And we wanted to kind of match that. We wanted to match the way that people are consuming the show. Yeah. Because I mean, as much as we, love getting together and we make each other laugh and we hope we make everyone else laugh, the true star of any Trek podcast is Star Trek.
Yep. Absolutely. Right. That's the focal point.
And so that was that was the reasoning behind it.
I also think that within when he mentioned that there were 3 seasons too, I think there was a subconscious thing with both of us that we were going to have this, just going ahead in the way we were going with the fact that Ira had seen it before and I not, there was going to be this natural arc, almost like 3 films, the way I'm thinking about it, where there was this arc for the first season and then there was this arc for the second season. I'm talking about our dynamic in our arc, in our journey, and where we're going and how we're finishing it off in the 3rd season. I thought that was a kind of a cool thing about, it's like a 3-parter almost, so you're like, you're getting the first part where it's like, oh, we're just starting.
It's so new, and who are these people?
Yeah, and the second part, we're kind of like finding our stride, and the third part where is like the finish. Yeah. So it's this 3-act thing. That's the way I've always kind of taken. I think you've taken it too, Ira, that same way where it's this arc of our characters, and it was us finding these characters and finding our place in the Star Trek universe. You know what I mean? So there's that too.
It was definitely a journey.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, and I accept your answer. It's very cool. I do have a follow-up question to that, because you made me think of something.
Yes, please.
When you're doing all of these for one whole season that you're going to drop it first, what is your normal schedule? Will you watch just one and then take a few days off, or will you watch a few at a time to put together for when you're going to do the show?
You mean when we're actually recording?
Exactly.
we at very first I was very ambitious. I thought maybe we could do like 3 in a sit down.
Wore us out.
And
then we were like,
couldn't do that.
God. They were like, Jesus.
Yeah. So,
oh my God, sorry.
we naturally fell into a 2-episode per meeting rhythm, which I suppose that's also part of it, just because the nature of my work is that it kind of goes up and down. And if we were meeting we were very religious about meeting once a week, for the most part. But me, in order to cut these together, would have I don't know if I would have been able to do 2 a week or 2 every 2 weeks. I think that would have been kind of impossible.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and then we've taken we go consistently every week as much as we can, but to record. We take our breaks here and there when we know that we have to do other things. We're working other jobs and things like that.
Well, we get sick of each other.
Yeah, or we just get sick of each other. It's like, I don't want to see your face anymore.
Don't even text me.
Don't you look in my direction.
I was listening to Mirror Mirror today on the way home because I'm trying to ration out
Evil
my
Spock.
season 2 of Two Guys One Trek because I know that if I listen to it too fast, Ira, you're gonna get bombarded with where's season 3, where's season 3, where's season 3.
I appreciate that.
We love it.
So I'm trying to help you out a little bit, but I was really fascinated to find that you reached, when you were recording that episode, that was the point in which you first started releasing season 1. And you hadn't really had an audience yet. So what has feedback been like since you started? And do you remember, if you have it, your first piece of negative feedback?
Oh man, first piece of negative feedback.
Because I can tell you mine right off the bat because I'll never forget it. We got an email with our second episode that said, you guys laugh too much at your own jokes.
We are definitely...
Yeah.
This is the email that you're composing to Josh and I,
This
right?
is
No.
our problem.
And they said, you guys should try to be more like Mission Log because they're a great podcast.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was like,
oh, ouch. Well, first of all, Mission Log is a great podcast.
It is.
But that's harsh. I guess I'll answer your first question first, which was what has
been the negative feedback?
No. What has been the feedback?
What's the feedback been like?
Because we hadn't had an audience, and it's been flubbing amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
Flubbing, I like that. That's good.
See what I did there?
That's a Heinekenism.
That was
Best
for you.
podcast around.
Oh my God, like. I had Star Trek fans in like my Twitter feed, for example, before this, but there's a whole wonderful, completely honestly, wonderful group of people
truly
that I have met.
Yeah.
Because of this podcast and because of changing that account. That account, actually, we've had for years.
Yeah.
The Twitter account specifically. But it used to be our sketch comedy account for the longest time. And then we were like, well,
Two Guys One Trek.
Flub. We've got
flub. Why not?
We've got followers already. Why not keep them?
Let's flub this one and let's flub to the other one.
So we just literally changed the username on that and changed it over because we'd had it for years.
Totally.
But a whole different crowd now. It's been amazing. What do you think, Josh?
I honestly, I went into this not knowing if anyone would even listen. When we joked about that, my biggest fear was the fact that we were gonna do it and just no one would think of anything. But then as we were doing it, I said we were having so much fun. I didn't care if anybody listened or not. I was like, you know what? I'm having a lot of fun just with my friend watching Star Trek. I didn't expect anything, truthfully. I expected just kind of two people to go like, oh, you did a podcast. Okay, and that's good for you.
What else is
yeah, okay, la-ti-da, you know? But everything that I've seen and that I've read has been really cool to read. I haven't really heard anything negative, truthfully.
Truthfully, I can't. I truthfully cannot think of anything either.
But again, we only have a dozen fans, so let's reiterate that. There's 12 people out there going like, these guys are the best.
Well, and you did spend copious amounts of time in a cave not watching the original series.
Exactly,
as we've established in the intro. So, it could be that too.
Everything is new to Josh.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that sunshine.
I'll tell you, you guys are the furthest thing from Mission Log and are so much fun. And Mission Log, of course, Mission Log has one of the best podcasters in the universe. But the way that took a second, didn't it? Huh?
That was a time bomb. That was great. Champion's going to hear that and go, I wonder who he's talking about.
The joke's just erupting in different sections of the
I wish our podcast was this funny, Bill.
I know, right?
No, it really was that for. I remember when Bill shared with me that one email, and I was new to podcasting. I hadn't been involved in it at all. I had no idea what to expect. When he actually asked me to do a podcast, I was like, okay, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
And that's what it was like.
There's always that.
Yeah. And so I have no idea what it's going to sound like, but it's been great.
Is that like fishing or something?
Exactly. Okay.
Casting pods?
I ate earlier, but we can podcast later if you want.
What have you guys done in terms? Now, let me ask you this: have you gone to any a lot of the conventions in the LA area, or Southern Cal, or Vegas, or anything like that, and people have caught on to you as you've been doing this?
Josh has never been.
That's how new I am to Star Trek completely. I mean, this is no joke.
I'm trying to convince him to come to Vegas because I just recently decided to go to Vegas.
Yeah, I'd never been to a Star Trek convention ever. I'd never ever. I mean, I knew of them again, but I just never been.
It's the dopeness.
It sounds like the greatest thing in the world.
Well, particularly Vegas.
Yeah,
I even went to podcasts. I even went to podcasts back in the 90s.
I was about to say podcast camp.
I went to podcast I was going to say too.
Oh my God, that would be so. Podcast camp would be. If I was a kid right now, I probably would be going to podcast.
We would all be in podcast camp, guys.
We are right now.
I think we would
exactly. This is podcast camp.
I actually went to conventions back in the 90s. Man, I mean, you guys remember this. Josh, you never experienced this. Maybe a little bit because of wrestling.
Yeah.
But it used to be so uncool.
Yeah.
To be a Star Trek fan.
But I know the
and
uncool
you were
factor
the
of
uncoolest.
Yeah.
If you went to conventions,
and that's the difference.
And I did go to a couple.
And that's the difference with a lot of conventions and comic book conventions now is the fact that you're not cast out going to these things. So you're actually within the in-crowd.
It's so different.
It's a lot easier for kids coming up to go to these conventions as it would be, like you said, in the 90s to go to the convention. You know, they would also the fact that
I would imagine that being a kid is still pretty, crappy.
It has its ups and downs. I'm just saying in terms of like Star Trek and stuff. That's all in the now, man.
Yeah,
it's totally now.
It's very different. But yeah, so anyway, back to the question, do we go to conventions? I have not gone to any we just released our first season last year, summer of last year.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't go to the 50th, which I so wish that I would have been able to go, but I couldn't because of work. So no, we have not pimped out the podcast at any conventions yet, I guess.
We're just getting rolling with this thing. I want to definitely go to a convention, at least one, for God's sake.
So we'll see if I'm able to drag him out to Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. So Josh, here's why you're going to Vegas.
Okay.
Vegas winds up being the largest Star Trek family reunion there is. And Dan can attest to this now because he's been to Vegas twice and is getting ready to go for his third time. But
that's awesome.
I don't go for the panels anymore because I've been going to conventions for years. I've seen all the panels. I mean, catch the occasional one. I always love it when Sir Patrick is there. I love it when Shatner's there. I mean, because
how many times can Bill talk about that f***ing bicycle?
Hey, talk about a bicycle?
Billy Schatz can talk about whatever he wants.
He will too.
But it's all about the people and the gathering with the like-minded people who also used to be called Trekkie as a derisive term.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing, and we all come together, and it's a fabulous thing. But more than that, Dan and I are having dinner at Gordon Ramsay's Steak one night with the rest of the guys who come on our trip, and then we're also going to Topgolf one night for our guys' party.
Oh, that's that light-up driving range, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. The food is amazing. Awesome. The drinkies are amazing.
Your Instagram photos from that night will be on point.
Oh, yeah, they will. But, dude, you totally have to go. So we're not going to let you hear the end of it.
Now just stay on it. Yeah, just stay on me about it. That's all.
Yeah.
Just Dan,
ride him hard.
Ride me hard. Wait, what?
Dan, you can chime in on this because, I mean, now that you've been to Vegas, you can't imagine not going.
And I got to tell you guys, the reason I went to Vegas the first time, there's a really good story about that. I don't know if you've heard it, is we were talking to Vic Mignogna from Star Trek Continues on the podcast one night, and Bill was pitching the story about how he goes every year and plays golf with his buddies. And, hey, it would be awesome, Vic, if you could, play golf with us.
Oh, no. That's not what happened. The captain...
Whoa. Two things of the story here.
The captain said, and this is on tape, the captain said, wow, I'd love to join you.
Exactly.
He invited himself, and I said, hell yeah.
Wait, so Vic invited himself?
Yeah.
He asked if he
that's such a Captain Kirk thing to do. That's such a Kirk thing to do.
You want me to play with you, don't you?
You want me to play?
Yeah, exactly. As he's walking toward the golf range already.
Telling people that he organized it.
Yeah, exactly. This is my little setup over here.
Now,
This putt is for Birdie.
I do have to tell you, I had no intention of going to the convention that year. I was going to make the 50th my first. But after that conversation, you better damn well believe I did everything I could, talk to Bill's wife, talk to my wife, and surprise Bill by telling him that I was going out, basically so I could play golf with Vic. I don't give a damn about Bill was there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Bill, take him or leave him.
I choose to leave him. So anyway, it's like 5.5 hours away from you guys, Vegas?
I think so.
Something like that, yeah.
Like 4.5, 5.5, yeah.
In all seriousness,
It's
guys,
a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, it really is.
I do have to agree with Bill. Going out there is like going to a family reunion. I'm, all the stars and all the stuff going on this year for me. I can't wait to get out there just to hang with the people that I've met since I started going and since we started doing the podcast, because that's what it's all about. You get together with these people that you might only see once or twice a year, and it is just absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, man.
Bill, did you ever go when it was at the Hilton?
I did. Actually, I was at the last one at the Hilton. And,
me too. I was there that year.
Oh, really?
We passed each other in the hallways.
No,
that was you?
Oh, okay.
I knew you from somewhere.
Two guys, one Trek?
He had his future goggles on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then he was one guy, one track because, Chuck, he was still in Amish country.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, one guy, one track. That's such a sad show.
Pushing the cart and the horse.
I mean, at least if you'd been Mennonite, you could have watched Star Trek still, but no.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea what a Star Trek was. What's a Star Trek?
Now that's a Star Trek.
I know a Star Trek when I see one.
And you, sir, are no Star Trek.
Yeah, but man, I the reason I bring up or I asked about the Hilton was because remember that bar that they used to have, Bill, that was over by the closed up Star Trek: The Experience?
Yeah, the Space Quest.
Everybody would go.
Yes.
And that is...
Was it a Star Trek bar?
It was the bar outside. So in the Hilton, like, remember I was telling you about the experience, the Star Trek experience where you go through like they had the Borg thing and you got to go on the bridge.
Oh, Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
remember?
Yeah. Sorry, Bill.
We are ruining this podcast.
Our bad.
But yeah, so that all closed up, right? When did that close up, Bill? That was like 2008? 7?
It was... Like no, it was later than that, actually, I think. I think it was... no, you might be right. I think it was 8. It was either 8 or 9. I want to say 8.
Something like that, because I have a pass from 2010. And I think the next year was the last year. Anyway, they closed it all up, right? But that whole section of the hotel had been like sci-fi futurified.
That's awesome.
You know, to like match the feel.
That's so cool.
And so it was this bar. Like I met Tim Russ, who's Tuvok.
Yeah.
I met him. In fact, true story. Tim Russ and my wife, who's an actress, they have the same agent. Which is so funny. But anyway, everybody, so that's outside of the convention. Everybody would go to that bar and hang out and drink, until
you're talking about just like
6 a.m.
the Tim Russes and then the
and that's the magic that they're talking about with the family of Star Trek. That the stuff inside the convention hall is dope. Like it's fun.
Yeah, it's great.
But meeting up in the casinos and the bars.
It's not just the convention thing. It's all of the bars.
Everybody
all the
stays
stuff
in the
outside.
hotel.
Yeah, it's the hotel stuff. Okay, so it's the whole experience. It's not just the actual convention event.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's Star Trek, on Earth. essentially, because anywhere you go, and I think this is universally true, anywhere you go and you find a group of Trekkies, they're instantly your friends to some degree because you all love the same thing, and there's that common bond, and you figure you're probably all of a relatively similar mindset to some degree.
It's true,
and
I definitely think so.
Yeah, and you find all these people in one spot. And everybody is just there to celebrate this thing we love, and it's beautiful. You mentioned, Ira, you mentioned the Space Quest bar and casino outside of the experience. Last year, we had a meetup for our Camp Kittimer, our Facebook group, and Dan was dressed as Guy Fieri.
Oh, my God.
It was the best night.
It was fun.
Dan, you got to tell the story about getting the costume.
Did you frost your tips, Dan?
I got actually Bill's wife got me the whole cosplay outfit, and the hat that I have has the frost tips as part of it. So I had the leather bracelets,
was it
the necklace.
one of those visor hats?
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I know
So
exactly
we actually go over to the wall where there's a gigantic picture of Guy Fieri's face, so that we can take pictures with the group from Camp Kittimer. And as we're there, people just keep coming by to get pictures of Guy Fieri. And
like,
I'm going to let you tell the story about the little girl, but it was
Dan,
hysterical.
You mean you? They thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
there's a big picture on the
They
wall.
thought he was Guy Fieri.
So good.
Yes.
That's a great story.
So good.
It was awesome.
It gets
So,
better, though, because
is
there
that
was
Guy
this one
Fieri
little
in there?
girl. Yeah. So, Dan, tell them about the little girl.
Oh, no, you tell the story much better than I do, man.
All right. So, there at least 5 people have taken pictures with Dan against this big Guy Fieri sign. And this one mom brings over her little girl who couldn't have been any older than 6 or 7. And she goes, "See, honey, they're real people just like us." And she walks up to Dan dressed as Guy and wants to get her photo taken with him. And Dan, to his credit, put on the full Fieri and did the voice and was so sweet to her and took the photo and made this little girl's night. It was beautiful.
Making dreams come
She
true.
will remember that for the rest of her life now. Thank you, Dan.
And you know what, Josh? If you go to Vegas this year, you just might see him again.
I'll be Guy Fieri.
Well, about that.
He's like a great guy.
You think?
Guy Josh.
Yeah, Guy
Totally.
Josh.
Guy Josh. Oh, man. You totally got the hair for it. Yeah.
There you go. See.
We have totally gone off. Yeah, Vegas. Vegas. You have to do Vegas.
Yeah, that's definitely on the old bucket list, on the old calendar to for surely do. I mean, I
It's in
don't.
the stars.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen for sure. I'm going to try this convention. I'm still going to try, but if not next year, absolutely for sure.
The penance is you're going to get nothing but selfies of the 3 of us.
Just having a good time.
Get up.
Yeah.
And telling you we don't miss you at all.
That's right.
Glad you aren't here. Jeez, guys.
Josh is going to be driving in New Hampshire, going, "Oh, another selfie." This one's with Celine Dion.
Guess I'll do the podcast alone.
One guy, one trek.
All the way to New England. Wah, wah.
So, guys, I got another question actually about the podcast. Silly.
Yes, sir.
What happens when TOS is done? Well, when you're done with TOS, because obviously TOS has been done for a long time.
No.
Yeah. Well, take it away, man. You know what's going on.
There is another.
Yeah, exactly. There is.
Whoa. Sorry.
I was right back on Tatooine.
I was there.
Or actually, I guess that would be Dagobah.
It probably would be, yeah.
There is another.
That was Frisky Yoda riding on people's back.
Backpacking.
Yeah, backpack Yoda.
I got nothing.
We are we're going to do the animated series. Actually, we haven't dove into that yet, but the plan is to in the next couple of weeks start meeting on Saturday mornings.
Yeah,
Have some breakfast together.
watch cartoons in our
Watch
jammy
cartoons.
jams.
Yeah, jammy jams will be required.
Jammy jams also, yeah. So it's a whole thing.
Are we talking footy pajamas and alphabets or something here?
The
Or?
whole night, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutes.
Pancakes and sausage.
Pancakes and pantaloons.
That sounds like an episode title. I'm just throwing that out there.
That'll be our morning pirate podcast.
Yar, pancakes and pantaloons.
Better have some of me maple syrup.
Can you pass the OJ?
Oh my word! So far, you guys have released the first 2 seasons in their entirety.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I know. I read. I look things up. I'm like you guys, and I write things down.
We're glad you're here.
We never will.
I know. Are there any episodes that surprised you, either positively or negatively, that stand out?
Within the podcast, or just within
Of Star Trek itself?
Star Trek
I've
in
got
general.
one.
Okay,
I've got one from the podcast, actually.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, yeah.
Which, if you're on Mirror Mirror, you may not be there yet, but this is season 2. Look at how good I am plugging a season 2 podcast.
Like a pro.
Like a pro.
You're on top of this thing.
But I don't know if you remember, it was Wolf in the Fold, and it was the episode where Scotty is accused of homicide. Which we literally convinced ourselves, talking about the episode after watching it, that holy bananas, we love this episode.
Yeah, we talked ourselves into liking it. We don't even know how we did it.
I remember what it was. It was there were a few things at the beginning of that episode that you and I realized that they had done that planted seeds for later off in the episode, and we were like, "Oh my god,
Yeah, that's right.
this is actually a really well written episode."
We came out of it going like, "Oh, that was okay," and then as we were talking about, I remember that as we were talking about it, we went, "Whoa,
like,
that was really cool."
No joke, we love this one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really good.
Go us.
Yay, team.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll turn that one around.
Figuring stuff out.
Josh, have you figured out one in the time that Ira was vamping?
That's all I do.
Yeah, that's all he does. I mean, with me with the show, I think. I mean, things that stand.
You've rewatched some of the shows.
Yeah,
now, too.
I've rewatched some of the shows, and I haven't done the whole thing. I've rewatched some, and then I've listened to some of the podcasts just to see just to look and see how.
I think they mean in Star Trek in general.
Just Star Trek in general.
Yeah.
Just Star Trek in general.
Oh man, what is it? What was the question? Just what negative things or
Surprised
just
you.
surprises?
Now,
Okay.
An episode that surprised you either positively or negatively.
I think the one that stands out to me the most, and it's probably the most popular one. It's the end of the first season. It's the second to last one. It's the
Of which show?
No, the one on the edge of
City on the Edge of Forever.
City on the Edge of Forever.
Which, if you listen to the podcast, is the title that Josh can never remember.
Yeah, I really cannot. I always look at him and I go, "Please help!" Pen and paper in hand, write it down. But that's the one where I think I don't know if I was ever. I mean, I was won over. I don't know if I want to say that because I've liked the show going into it, but that's the one where I went, whoa, I think I've seen the greatest Star Trek episode ever in that moment. Like of all the shows that I've seen, that was
It was electric.
It was so good. I mean, it reminded me of.
together.
I love film. So it reminded me of a film, and a really well done film, and a classic old film that you just can watch over and over and over again. And that's what I want to do with that episode, is I just want to stop it when it's done and then watch it again. And then when it's done, watch it again. And that's the kind of feeling that I had walking away from that episode. And I went, whoa. That was a feeling that I'd never gotten from Trek. I'd gotten good episodes, really good episodes, but I'd never gotten that feeling of, I can watch that all over again right now.
It literally gives me goosebumps thinking about
Genuinely.
watching that episode that night.
Absolutely.
That's a great pick.
That podcast could have gone on forever because we had a lot to say, just in terms of everything was fresh on the brain, going like, that was an amazing experience that we just experienced.
It's
was like,
definitely the best of the original series, but man, after doing that podcast and watching it together, I think I agree that might be the best there ever was.
I think so. I mean, that's saying a lot. I know there's been a lot of Star Trek episodes, but I think if I have to mark just one, I think that would be the one. So, yeah.
Wow. That's
Is it just because you realize that Landru is actually the head prefect of the entire planet?
All hail Andrew.
That's what always blows my
Talking
mind.
good about Landru, so it was good with me.
This guy likes
Mr.
Landry. Let him
Angus.
first.
Oh, you're with the Landry party.
Yeah, they're in the back.
Landru for $6 billion, please. Oh, right this way.
Oh my God. So like I said, I'm listening to Mirror Mirror right now, and I'm almost done with that particular episode of the podcast. Dan is an unabashed Mirror Universe lover, and I was surprised to find out you guys were kind of lukewarm on Mirror Mirror. A little bit.
You don't have to go to Vegas now, Josh. Never mind.
As I slowly put my bags down, I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Dan."
Yeah, it's funny because I have so I am the one that edits these podcasts together, and so I have listened to all of these episodes with our commentary probably 4 or 5 times by the time that they're released.
I'm sorry.
Which is not. Yeah, thank you.
We're all sorry.
Thank you. Josh, have you listened to any of season 2 yet? Because I bet you haven't.
I've listened to most of season 1, but I haven't listened to any of season 2 yet.
Yeah.
Just the stuff that we've played here and there when I've been back and forth.
Do you remember being lukewarm on Mirror Mirror?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
See, that's what I thought because we'll check in with each other throughout, later on in the season as just as natural, like where are we at?
Yeah.
And both of us have. I've always loved that, but even you, I remember Josh when we were talking about it later on. That was a high point for you. That you enjoyed. So maybe it was just one of those ones at the time.
The fact that I didn't like Mirror Mirror?
No, it wasn't that you didn't like it.
You didn't like it. There wasn't effusive praise like there was for City on the Edge.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's when I see it, I just go by the first feeling that I have after watching it. So that first initial feeling, maybe it was just something I may have even mentioned on the podcast. Could have been something I ate. Just could have been something I was feeling that day.
That Chipotle was a bad idea.
That Chipotle not sitting right. You know what I mean? So
a little norovirus for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Based on the conversation we had last week in last week's podcast episode, was Mirror Mirror a Prime Directive violation by Kirk?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, see now we're getting a little.
Now we got to pass
Now
this
it gets
test.
serious.
I thought we were home free. No one told me there were tests.
The feats of strength are coming up next.
So I found it actually very interesting last week when you guys talked on your podcast about trying to make sense of the Prime Directive from a view of like if you were actually a Starfleet officer, because I find myself unable to extricate the writing of the show from the question of what is the Prime Directive.
Sure.
Because it's so inconsistent.
Yeah, do you think they knew what the Prime Directive was at that time? Yeah, exactly. I don't think they had established what the Prime Directive fully was at that time.
They didn't even know what to call it.
Yeah, I think they had the idea of something called a Prime Directive, but it was probably never fleshed out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if we're placing ourselves in the shoes of, does he violate the Prime Directive? I think the answer is flub, yeah, by telling, influencing Spock. I'm sticking with flub. That's happening all night tonight.
It's the only mother flubbing way to talk.
But, I mean...
You mother Vulcan.
But I mean, like, in terms of their incursion, full stop, into that universe, they didn't have a choice over that. Like,
right.
that happened, and I think that your mission at that point would be to, if you're supposed to take the Prime Directive in its purest form, your job would be to try to get out of that universe with as little ramification as possible. Mm-hmm. And they clearly do not do that in that episode.
Right. Okay. Just wanted to see if you would...
I really think of the Prime Directive of like Gene Roddenberry at some point made friends with like Jane Goodall or somebody in the anthropological community, and they're like, no, like we anthropologists are like, there's so much harm that can be done by going into another culture
and just going by your own rules.
And just acting all ethnocentric.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Kirking everything up.
And,
Flub, yeah.
Kirking it up. Dropping muskets.
Dropping muskets. That's what I was upset about.
Dropping off muskets.
Fire sticks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're trying to wrestle with that, that very much flies in the face of cowboy mentality, which has such an imprint on that first show, the cowboy America and what else was on TV. And that is definitely not taking into accounts of like respecting other cultures and like not influencing them and that they're better off on their own. It was a much more colonialist time. I'm guessing from watching.
Sure.
I wasn't alive in the 60s, but I would guess.
Wow, I got the dig there. Thank you so much.
Those words were pointed.
Info Central.
Really nice. Really nice. I totally lost my train of thought because I was just ready to give you crap. Although I've learned that from this discussion.
We do that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I've learned that Ira has listened to an episode of Trek Geeks and Josh has heard 0 right now. So the score is 1-0.
This is true. This is true.
And
It's
and
very much my
Ira's
personality, 'cause I'm the one to get the brownie points.
Yeah, exactly. And just for the record, I haven't even listened to our podcast, so let's just say that too.
He's not a fan.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really like it.
Josh is not a fan of the show.
2 Guys, 1 Trek, not my thing.
that explains why Dan hasn't listened to Trek Geeks.
There you go. See. I've heard it.
Now, my own defense, the reason I don't listen to Trek Geeks is because I just can't stand Bill's voice. But no, I'm just kidding. I do listen to my own podcast. Thank you very much, Bill.
I'm not behind it still. I think that's erroneous. You sit on a throne of lies, Davidson.
Lies.
Your throne of lies.
Lies. All lies. Oh, we don't quote that guy.
No, we don't quote that guy at all. So, guys, obviously season 2 is here. We're very excited by it. Where would you direct people to stalk you? I mean, find you on social media?
They can stalk us on
Hold on, I gotta get a pencil.
Facebook.
Come out of my cave.
We're in Amish country.
Scrape it on this rock.
Like writing in blood?
Yeah, writing in blood on this rock. 2guys1trek.com. I'll check it out.
That would be a very stalkery thing to do.
It would be.
It really would be.
On a rock.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at 2guys1trek.
Yep.
And 2guys1trek.com, which has all of the links to the podcast, us on social media.
All the infos. Yep.
All of the above.
SoundClouds, the iTunes, all those
All
things.
that stuff.
all the things the kids
iTunes,
use.
the Stitches, all the newfangled things.
Exactly.
Oh, I remember what I was going to ask now. So,
Yes, please.
obviously, podcasting's not your job. What do you guys do in the real world?
Yeah, exactly. What are you talking about?
No, I'm telling you, it's not your job. It's not your job.
Josh covers the mic. We're not going to get for this.
What were you talking about?
Josh, didn't I see you on Modern Family?
You did, yes. I am an actor, writer, filmmaker as well. So that's so that when Ira was saying scheduling being everywhere, both of us have schedules that we're in control of, and at the same time we are very out of control of. So,
It's a constant state of panic.
exactly. So we're consistently panicking, and that's one of the things where I'm proud of both of us doing is actually meeting as much as we've met and finishing the podcast is because our schedules have been everywhere, and we really had to hunker down and be very strict with ourselves and go like, okay, let's make sure we get this done. This is a project. This is a thing. So, yeah, being a filmmaker, actor, and writer, it's no walk in the park and paying the bills. I'll tell you that.
The work never stops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Wow.
Yeah, Ira, you probably sit in a dark room alone and watch Star Trek 24/7?
Yeah, that's correct.
I love it.
It's called prison.
So this is a conjugal visit.
Yes, once a week I get the Josh visit.
Oh, wow. Sorry to interrupt.
Hashtag.
No.
No, it's okay. We're quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. During the intro, we got done.
It's called multitasking.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, what do I do? I'm a video editor. I've done a lot of contract work recently with Netflix, although I'm not going to be doing much with them anymore because I recently decided that I'm going to be a full-time writer, almost full-time.
Awesome.
But I also do voiceover work for a education company called Study.com. And yeah, I tickle the keyboard.
There you go.
Nice.
Fantastic. Guys, we have loved having you on the show. It has been a blast. We are so excited that season 2 of TG1T is here, and we hope that you'll come back again. And we are huge fans.
Hey man, if you guys have Martok on the show,
Oh my, seriously.
You mean again?
always.
You mean again? Yeah.
Tell him
we had him. Well,
that's what I mean. A couple weeks ago, if you guys have had Martuk on the show, we'll come back anytime.
Well, we do have a second podcast launching with Star Trek Discovery when that drops, so you guys will have to come back for the dais on one of those discussions.
Yeah,
we would love to.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys. Seriously, thank you so much for having us.
Truly appreciate
We hope
it.
some of this audio is usable.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're actually going to rerun our interview with the guy who was the red shirt extra in episode 61.
No, that's a good call. That's a good call.
I would suggest that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we respect that.
He actually also from Amish country.
Oh, there you go. Smart man.
there you go.
Cave Willie?
Is he Glenn?
So
He's,
Josh,
That was actually Matthews that walked out of the cave finally.
Was it Matthew? He didn't die? Matthews.
Josh, you do have an assignment before we speak next time, and that is get yourself to Vegas, bro.
I hear you, man. I'm hearing you guys loud and freaking clear. You guys say
I don't
really
think
well
you're
on it.
hearing me loud enough, mister.
do you hear us? Do you really?
Mostly because I don't want to have my feelings hurt by seeing all the pictures. This is the main thing. By seeing all your guys' fun, I'm like, wait a minute, I should be there too.
All your friends are doing it. You'll be cool. Everyone will like you. You'll get to do all the cool stuff after football practice.
This peer pressure thing works really well.
I know, right?
It's pretty
Not
good.
bad.
That's how you get people to buy drugs.
Oh, cool.
Guys, thank you so much. We love your show, and keep going, man.
Thank you. We love you too.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Dan, I think that probably was the most fun we've ever had talking on this podcast. Easily.
I might have to take the day off tomorrow just to recoup. That was a lot of energy. That was freaking hysterical. And as we said at the beginning of the show, wow, it was just like one of their shows. I mean, it's just bang, 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 constant. It was great. Those guys are hilarious.
The way that Josh and Ira just riff off each other is amazing. It's like second nature. I mean, we said this to them off air. When I first listened to their podcast, I got really self-conscious because they are great at what they do, and it made me question: Are we doing the right thing on Trek Geeks? And ultimately, our show is our show, and their show is their show. I would never want to be like theirs because theirs is just so unique and fresh. I love it.
I love it too. I think that they're going to do awesome, and they're only in their second season. And as things continue, I think it's going to get more and more popular. And we wish them the best of luck. We love them, and can't wait to meet them in person. Actually, I think it'll be great in Vegas if they are both there, so that we can shake hands, laugh in person, and make fun of you.
Hey, wait a second.
That's right. I said it.
Now, we do have to thank Josh and Ira, immensely for coming on the show and taking time out of their hugely busy schedules and the LA traffic. Josh has not made it to New Hampshire yet, so I'm going to have to probably send out a rescue party. Who knows? Because that Chinese food by now is not going to be very good, quite frankly. And also, we do want to thank them. If anyone who's looked at the artwork for this week's episode notices we're using the Two Guys One Trek artwork, which was created by an artist named David Arredondo, who does amazing work. So we want to thank Josh, Ira, and also David for letting us use that artwork. But, Dan, what a great time! I can't say enough good things about it.
It was a great time, and the artwork is phenomenal. And I love the artwork for the podcast, and I like putting the stuff together for our podcast. I gotta say though, looking at the artwork for season 2 for Two Guys One Trek, if they're both able to get to Vegas, we're gonna take them into the bridge mock-up where you can take photos, and they're gonna recreate that album cover. I'm gonna make them do that because that would be hysterical to get a real life action picture of that.
I'll even pay for that.
It'll be pretty awesome. And, they were so much fun. I can say right now, I can see them on Discovering Trek. I think it might happen.
I think so too. They do bring some really great insight into the original series on their podcast, and I think it'll be interesting to hear some of that for a brand new Star Trek series that we're all being exposed to for the first time. So here's looking forward to that down the road. Dan, another thing that people can look forward to if they're brand new to Trek Geeks is how to subscribe. You know, we get a lot of new ears hearing this podcast all the time, and some people may not be so sure as to how they can get this regularly and on the whole automagically thing. So would you be so kind as to tell us?
Absolutely. It's very easy to do. If you're new to the podcast, we make it super easy for you to subscribe, as Bill just said. You can have every episode of Trek Geeks automatically downloaded straight to your mobile device by heading on over to subscribe.trekgeeks.com. And there you'll be able to find out how you can get this here podcast every Tuesday on your iPod, iPhone, Android, or any other kind of device that you might have that allows for podcasts. Also, you can listen to the podcast on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and even directly at TrekGeeks.com. It's your independent Star Trek podcast, Bill. It's delivered your way, so make it so.
Oh, make it so indeed. Dan, the other thing we should make so is some thanks. First off, we want to thank our friends, the band 5 Year Mission, without whom this podcast would have a whole lot more Dan Davidson. So I think we're all grateful for their music and their sound. Please, we want everyone to head out to 5yearmission.net, download all their albums. Because we swear you're going to become the hugest 5 Year Mission fan, and you'll thank us. And more importantly, you'll want more of their music, which, Dan, they're working on year 4, buddy.
Year 4. Oh my God, year 4. That's going to be great. I'm hoping for a little tease of it pretty soon. Guys, hello? Maybe.
Yeah, I know, right?
It'll be awesome. You know, we love 5 Year Mission. We always have loved 5 Year Mission. But in honor of last week's episode of Trek Geeks, my directive is Prime. Yeah, you know what we're talking about. I actually went back, Bill, and I rewatched an episode of Voyager in which the Prime directive played a major factor in reverse. Can you believe that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
You know, 5 Year Mission came across a planet that had advanced technology to make their music even better, if that's even possible. But the leader of the planet, you know, they wouldn't share that technology, and it kind of pissed off 5 Year Mission a little bit. But, you know, why bother even trying? They're already awesome. But you should check out the episode, Prime Factors. It was really good. I think you'll like it.
I like that episode title better than I like that guy who plays the leader of that planet and his voice. Hello, Captain Janeway.
I'll take that as a positive then.
That's Prime Factors, only on Trek Geeks. Go figure. Dan, we also have to thank Aaron Harvey. He designed our fantastic Delta in our new Trek Geeks logo. He does such amazing work, and we should definitely show him some love. You can find him on Twitter at GeekFilter. This Delta is bold, and it's amazing, and we're proud to use it as the symbol of the Trek Geeks podcast. So, Aaron, thank you, and thank you to all of those who've gone out to our Cafe Press store and recently purchased shirts with that Delta on it, because it does help the podcast. Dan, next week, it's I want to say I'm excited about this, but that also means I have to watch what we have to watch to talk about this.
Yeah, you know, it's always exciting to do every episode with you, Bill, I got to say. But, you know, this movie was so bad that it really could have been called Phlemesis. So next week we're going to tackle it anyway. We figure it's time. You know, it's TNG 30. It's the last of the TNG movies. You know, there are clones, there are androids, there are remans and more. And yeah. So next week we're going to talk Star Trek Nemesis. Get excited. I am. Are you?
I actually am kind of excited about this.
It'll be fun.
There is some good in this movie.
There is some good. Yes.
And I think there are some things that may surprise you. That's all I'm going to say.
Anytime that I'm talking to you, sir, you surprise me somehow.
I think I stun you most times, but hey, that's potato, right? Dan, for more great Star Trek discussion, we want everyone to check out the Tricorder Transmissions online at thetricordertransmissions.com. They have about 60 gajillion shows out there, and all of them are fantastic. Okay, that might be an overstatement.
Gajillion.
Gajillion. It's probably more like 60 billion.
Okay.
But Shore Leave is in high gear. I think I'm going to be appearing on Shore Leave pretty soon. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And Trek Ranks and Tabacron and their flagship show. But some great Star Trek discussion, a little something for everybody. And Dan, of course, for all the latest news on all the Star Treks, please visit our great friends at treknews.net. Online at treknews.net. For now, this has been episode 105 of the Trek Geeks podcast. We do hope you all live long and prosper.
So, hey, what do you think? 2 coconuts, 1 Trek, or 2 guys, 1 coconut? Which one?
I think the former.
Okay.
Yeah, the latter doesn't sound like it should be YouTubeable.
Make it so.
Bing bong.
Hi.
Hi.
GDMF Windows.
I think it's more like GDMF user.
No, it is not. I did the new Windows Creator, whatever the frig update that is, on my laptop this morning.
I've not heard of this.
It's new, and now I got all kinds of issues down there in my studio, so I have to move back upstairs. And it's about 800,000 degrees up here because it's supposed to be in the mid-90s today.
That sounds like a bit of an exaggeration.
Well, it's sort of like, listening to Mission Podcast this week when the episode was Suspicions and they flew the shuttlecraft into the corona of a star. That's what it feels like right now.
What podcast? Missions?
Missions log.
Missions podcast.
Did I say missions?
Yeah.
Okay, Mission Log podcast doing the episode Suspicions. That's what I meant to say. So I kind of shrunk it up into Mission Log, and Suspicions is now just Missions. Take that, John and Ken.
Or wait, why are you going to drag Ken into this?
Because Ken, oh my God, he has been cracking me up lately listening.
I wish I had
Picard's
a podcast partner that would do that.
Picard's flute, tin whistle, whatever.
I wish I cracked up listening to my podcast partner.
I heard you the first time. I just chose to ignore it.
I just wanted to say it again because it's true.
Dumb face.
Dumb face.
Hey, can I do something as part of the outtake as kind of a plug for someone?
Do I got a choice?
No. I want to wish a happy anniversary to my sister Donna and her husband Chris. Donna, she's the Star Trek fan. So yeah, they just had their anniversary last week, and I was so busy at work with everything going on and being on my own for 2 weeks that I completely forgot to wish them a happy anniversary. So I felt real bad. So I thought I'd do it here on this here podcast.
I'm going to cut all of that out.
Well, at least I tried.
I'm going to cut all of that out.
Star Trek fan. That was funny.
Was that supposed to be a laugh line there? Because I wasn't sure. I didn't know if you were going to keep going.
You can throw in the fake applause and laughter later in the post.
That seems like way too much work. So we got our new fridge delivered Friday.
Is it a nice fridge?
I've never had romantic feelings about a fridge before.
Whoa, okay.
I love this fridge.
Yeah? Does it have special things to it?
It's GD gorgeous is what it is.
Is it spacious?
Incredibly spacious. It's got the French doors. It's got the pull-out freezer with the drawer on top. And
can you fit a human head in it?
I don't know. You want to come over? I love the fridge.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you got it all set and that you now can freeze things again.
I'm just happy to not be living out of a cooler in my kitchen
again,
like I did for the last week.
Yes. Yes.
Like I was camping in a way.
Well, it can be fun for a while, and then it kind of wears off.
Yeah, a little bit until you realize you've got a cooler full of mostly really cold water at some point.
Yes,
and then you have to deadlift that cooler onto the deck. My form was fantastic though after all this time going to the gym.
I was gonna say, with all the work you've been doing, it was probably just like doing one of your little exercise routines at the gym. Yeah.
Right, you're so cute. You call it a routine.
I know. So you can reach into that cooler and pick out a lukewarm Coors because it's the banquet beer.
One. If people are drinking Coors, then there's some serious issues going on. To wit, I say, flub yeah.
Oh, that's a good word.
Hashtag flub yeah.
Flub yeah. That's funny.
Your face is funny.
It is. It is very, especially today. I got to trim the beard. I was getting a little raggly. Not raggly.
So you're going to try to look a little less homeless?
Oh, if I did any of that, I'd look like you.
Wow. That's
I said it, and I stand by it.
Didn't make a whole lot of sense. So for you, that's pretty much par for the course.
None whatsoever, yeah.
None at all.
At least I didn't screw up when I said it, like Missions.
Missions.
Today on the all-new podcast, Missions.
That sounds really familiar. Missions?
At least I didn't call it Logs.
Lincoln Logs, the new Star Trek podcast.
Oh, Savage Curtain. Nice, I like that.
It's only about that one episode. This podcast is going to run for like 15 years. It's only about the Savage Curtain every episode.
Nice. I like that.
We should do that.
That would be great. Next week.
Introducing the third podcast from Trek Geeks. The second one's not even out yet, but Lincoln Logs. Your podcast dedicated to the original series episode, The Savage Curtain. And then you in the background go, Help me, Spock. Help me, Spock.
Now can you cry like Lincoln?
Help me, Kirk.
That was a little too high voice.
Help me, Kirk.
I'll give it to you. It was all right. No, James. Stay back. Oh, that must have hurt.
And Colonel Green in his Mork from Mork costume.
Do you think that those were the same spears they used in the Galileo 7 episode?
That could be. They did have to reuse a lot of stuff. They were just shortened.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jerk. You ready?
Wow. Yes, sir, I am.
So are there any other jerks on this call other than you? No.
No, that would be me, King Jerk.
I'm glad you agree.
Yes. Mr. Executive Producer.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Did you know last week I forgot to introduce myself?
You did that the first episode, too.
Very first one. So hopefully I can just keep doing these 103 episodes apart. So next time I should do it like around episode 207.
Yeah, and give yourself a great introduction today, okay?
No promises.